is a Herald in the Dark? Tell us about it.
A bat?
Oh, yeah.
A bat.
It's people falling asleep probably because they'd already been up.
It's like a radio play. Well, that's why we do it, to fuck with them.
Yeah.
Was this for the marathon?
The marathon. Yes, we did it at 2 a.m. Are we recording?
Yep.
Okay. I'm sorry. I should have.
Steven was trying to smoothly, naturally get us into.
I just wanted to make sure I didn't say anything I don't want to say on the recording.
So here's my social security number, Steven. I hope you like it.
I hope you like it.
Interspersed throughout the digits of my social security number is the list of my sworn enemies. We're recording. Yeah. How'd it go?
It was fun. It was fun.
I did the bat last year, and it was the most fun I've ever had doing a show. It was so fun.
Oh, cool.
Because we really steamrolled that marathon. Like, we went in and it was us basically on one side of the stage and the marathoners on the other side of the stage. So that sort of set up a physical vibe. And they would just be like trying to do narrative stuff, you know, trying to build a story out of this thing, and we would immediately undercut it entirely with some joke.
Wait, who are the marathoners then?
The people that are doing every show for 48 hours.
Excuse me?
Yeah.
I didn't... Huh?
Yeah.
I did it 6 years ago when it was a 43 or 42 hour marathon.
And
people stay up for 48 hours and improvise?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me tell you about the shanty town that is the green room.
It is. It becomes a little
Are there people taking...
Hobo showers?
What do we call
horse baths?
You can't say hobo showers. You can't say horse baths.
Horse baths.
What can you say these days?
Shanty baths.
Shanty. Okay.
I don't know if you can say that.
Let's call them Ashanti.
Notorious
R&B songstress, never showered. Ashanti. Welcome to We Are Definitely Afraid of the Dark. This is the Scary Movie Podcast for people who are scared of everything. I am Stephen Smith, and I'm a scared baby. With me, as always,
I'm Emma, and I'm the most scared baby.
Excellent. And
I'm Kyle Romero, and I am brave and strong and true of heart.
Excellent. Every week we watch a scary movie and we invite a guest to bring that scary movie. And we have 100% guarantee you always scare us. So it's not really that much of a challenge. But our guest this week is comedian, improviser, world-renowned Dracula, and Batman American Devon Coleman.
Yeah.
I'm a black dude in America. There's no movie that can scare me.
Ooh, you had that line planned, but it's very good.
I actually just planned it as you were introducing yourselves.
Well,
and I was
good.
like,
It's good.
What am I going to say about my level of scaredness?
I can definitely get that on a business card for you. Well, Devon, so you are unflappable? You don't get scared?
That's right. I am, but I am the terror that flaps in the night.
That's a Batman reference, I think.
It's a Darkwing Duck reference, I believe.
But close
enough.
close.
It's basically the same thing.
So have you always, you're a cinephile, you love movies.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was a pretty scared kid, but as an adult, I am less scared.
What were you scared of as a kid?
Everything. What do you got?
We got clowns. The dark.
Toilets. I was scared of toilets.
Toilet sharks.
Yeah, we've talked about toilet sharks here before.
So one thing that scared me as a kid, although I was on the older side at this point because it was when the X-Files was on, but there's an episode of X-Files with this guy, Adrian Toomes.
Oh, yeah.
Is he the one who can...
He can, come through pipes and stuff. And there's a part where he can't get into someone's house because there's a baby lock on the toilet.
Yeah.
And I was like,
the scariest shit ever. It's so
it's scary.
terrifying.
And it's also scary because I'm like, why the fuck don't we have one of those?
Yeah.
Can I swear on this show?
Yes.
Can I get it?
You can
we're
now.
trying to get it on network television, so...
And I said, what's the deal with not having one of those things?
Thank you.
That's more like it. Thank you.
What was his thing? He was like Rubber Man.
Rubberman. He's
Yeah.
like stretchy.
He could sort of squeeze like a mouse. He could squeeze into the
I
smallest
don't like
hole.
it.
And he was what was the... I've seen that episode because I've heard it referenced so much. It's like the first season.
So he was like, he's like an immortal creature who emerges every, I forget what the time frame is, but I don't know, century maybe.
Yeah. It's like a scary Brigadoon.
So he emerges and he needs to eat the livers of 5 people in order to
Age
He
doesn't matter.
to stop aging.
Why
So
doesn't
he
he go to a
emerges.
morgue?
He eats the 5 liver. They
That's a
gotta
good
be
question.
fresh. He tried it initially and was like,
Are you
"Well,
sure?
No thanks. No, I don't know. That's not canon.
'Cause that would be a
Don't
lot-
quote me on that.
Easier too.
That would be a funny, like, sort of postmodern horror movie where it's just like a guy who has this weird corporeal vice or like needs body resources or whatever, but like has totally found a like non-violent, like reasonably sourced way to meet it, and everyone's like, okay, you're good. All right,
Yeah,
movie's
no problem.
over with.
That's
No problem
iZombie.
here.
Have you?
Yeah, I feel like that's a pretty.
It's really good.
And have you ever seen My Best Friend's a Vampire?
Mm-mm.
It's a movie in the 1980s.
Is it like rom-com-y? It
Yeah,
sounds
it's like a teen comedy, and he like his friends. If I'm remembering this correctly, his friends like uncle is a butcher, so he gets blood from the butcher.
yeah.
Did you all ever read Ma and Pa Dracula?
No,
It was-
I didn't.
But I love the title.
It's a children's book by the author of The Babysitters Club, Anna M. Martin.
Branching out.
But this is like good. It's about a girl who her parents are vampires, but they're good vampires. They only go to blood banks, and like if they have to, they'll kill deer. But like
Is it
it's
like
just-
a picture book?
no,
It's like
a
a novel.
really tiny novel,
Okay.
like for kids.
like a young adult novel.
Yeah, but not even like
For like kids.
yeah. It's probably like for like a 10-year-old.
She was like, I gotta get in on this Benicula money.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the scariest thing you ever read as a kid?
Oh man, that's a great question.
We got a
Scary.
bunch of nerds.
That's a very good question.
Good readers in the group.
Yeah, we're all bookish.
Yeah.
The scary stories tell in the dark.
Yeah.
I was
Yeah,
going
I
to say
think
the
that's
same
probably
thing.
scary
That's
stories.
Are
probably
those
Some of
stories though scary without the illustrations?
The
Because the
illustrations
illustrations
are
really
horrifying.
hook you.
Yeah,
them. The
fuck you up.
illustrations really make it.
Yeah.
I think the stories are still scary because my sister would just read them to me. And when I was like, no, stop, please don't do this. Or she
She
would
would
just
hold you down and shout them into your face.
She's like kneeling on your chest and it's like, and then the door creaked open.
she would
Chapter
just
1.
retell them to me. She
Yeah.
would just retell them to me even, and that would scare me.
Well, we've recently learned as a group that it's really scary stuff retold, like, still has potential to traumatize because you're fucked
Yeah.
up from our recounting of Hereditary. My wife, 3 days
Don't
at
do it.
least of sleep lost to just the recap. So, like, that's a legitimate
You
trauma.
told her the plot
I
and-
did, beat for beat.
and she
and
also-
it ruined her sleep for 3 days.
Yeah, it's
Stories.
been well. Let's get into what's been scaring you this week because I actually wrote a list.
Okay.
Because I was disappointed that I could only think of the dark last week.
Right.
So my closet door, because sometimes it's like ajar often, and I can't remember if I left it that way or not. And it's a double door, so it's like just double the potential for it being slightly open in a weird way.
Okay.
What's
You're
a
going to say it was
door?
double
Like two
the
doors.
potential for
Two
intruders.
doors.
Got it. So it's an extra big
So it's just
door.
like 2 levels of like, how did I leave this? I can't remember shit.
So you are in the habit of remembering like states of inanimate objects
No,
as like
I
tells.
want to,
Okay.
but I
am.
never do.
Yeah.
I am.
So I just check everything all the time.
Are you like photographing everything in your home to make sure that it's in the same?
Yeah, with my eyes.
Okay.
But I have a thing related to what you're saying about your closet door and whether or not someone has creeped in.
If it's a true story about someone hiding in your
No,
closet,
it's not.
Okay.
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't do that to you.
Don't
I
do
won't
it.
tell you any of the true stories I know. So, my best friend, when she was in college,
It sounds like a true story.
it is, but it's not what you think.
Okay.
Her and her roommate were so messy that one time they came home and they thought someone had robbed them. But the only reason they thought it turned out that like the lamp was knocked over. So to them that meant this place has been ransacked.
Ransacked. Yeah.
It's like, no, it's like this all the time, you guys. Because like her roommate's boyfriend came and was like, no, the lamp's just knocked over. It looks like this all the time.
It's
Yeah.
actually an interesting theft deterrent where it's like cut a hole in the glass window
glass.
and then
A
reach
little
through and
bit.
undo the knob and then come in and it's like, where to start? Like, let's just hit up the house up the street.
Or
It's
they're
too
like,
messy.
somebody beat me to it.
Yeah.
The rival cat burglar has gotten in here
I
already.
want to hear more of your list, though, Emma.
Sure.
Yeah.
So Tony Collette,
Wait, you're
Because-
scared for her?
No, of her.
Specifically
That face
scared
shit,
are you
of
scared
people
Not
of
of
her?
her, the actress, but of the image you conjured up in my
Her silent
brain
screaming. Oh, of her. Okay.
of creepies.
I thought you saw that because I saw that image on like the AV Club, and like it like makes you nervous laugh.
I just like I've
like-
been like
Looking
Yeah.
in corners.
looking in corners.
Yeah.
Spoiler.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
The house.
I mean, it's still a new
You're right,
movie
you're
at this
right.
point.
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
Spoiler, guys. The rooms in this movie have corners.
She lives in the geodesic dome. It's like elaborately
Emma
constructed.
walks in and goes, "No, thank you." Turns right around.
This one's a little bit darker, brain tumors. I had a headache.
On the X-ray, it's a little bit darker.
I thought it was lighter. I had a headache for like 3 days, and it was clearly allergy related. But I did Google symptoms of brain tumors, and it did like I just like sort of thought about what I would do if I was dying.
Fun.
I got you on this one. I got your back on this one because anytime I have a pain in my leg, I'm like, here comes a blood clot going to my brain.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to stretch, man.
Deep vein thrombosis
If
is
you're
real.
gonna fly, wear diabetes socks. And stretch.
Compression.
Where did you
compression
where
socks.
did
Okay,
you
yeah,
get
compression
this?
socks.
Where you're Tommy Copper. Where did you get this?
Yeah, where's this tip?
I'm not like saying it's wrong. I just have never heard this.
Why you should wear them? Because
Yeah.
they compress and help with circulation. I get really bad swollen feet when I fly. So I started wearing them when I fly, when I remember.
How does that work?
I don't know.
It like just forces. Hey,
Yeah.
blood, listen up.
Seems
The way-
like
the way it
seems
works
like
is-
it doesn't, honestly.
No,
but
it really helps.
Seems like it would constrict. blood
lots
flow.
of people do use them
Yeah.
and it works, but it's
Oh, I thought you meant the swelling at first. I was going to say the way it works is we're not meant to be up there.
but walking around also helps.
Yeah.
Staying hydrated.
The medical phobia is like a very real thing because I haven't been to a doctor or a dentist or a mental health professional in 4 years.
Oh my god,
Guys, I know. And it's not like a fear of going to those things. It's just like, who's got the time to make the appointment?
I hear you, man.
So
or the
definitely-
insurance too.
Well, I didn't. That was the initial reason, and now I've got it, and I don't use it. This is a trash mouth. It's definitely like rotting from the
I haven't
inside.
been to the dentist in longer than that.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
honestly
I haven't
couldn't
been in
even
2
give
years,
a
and I need to
time
go.
frame.
Ooh, mini-sode. Join the gang as they all get dental checks.
I love going to the dentist.
What are you talking about?
I love how
Down is up is down.
Yeah, this is
Wait,
chaos.
I love how thoroughly clean your mouth feels after. And I love just like them like getting it all out.
Oh no, my closet door is open. Better go to the dentist. Calm down.
But I haven't gone in 2 years because insurance,
Yeah.
money, that stuff.
Yeah.
But also, who has time to schedule an appointment? But I have most of July off, and I am going to go to
That
the
sounds
dentist.
like a good plan.
Emma,
I need to take a month off work. Why, Kyle? Well, I'm going to the dentist at some point, so
I'm also going to get a physical.
Yeah, it's going to be a total teardown.
I want to get all my bloods tested.
Hey, dog, rip it back to the studs. Start over.
let's flip this mouth.
I'm here with the property doctors.
Trademark. These are all our ideas. Don't steal these ideas. Trademark.
TM.
That's how that works, right?
Yeah. Mhm.
Anybody else care? You got more?
I got one more thing.
Okay.
Oh, good. Yeah.
I
could do a podcast just of hearing what Emma's
Yeah.
afraid
So
of.
I love my dog, and I'm not really scared of him.
This is. I saw the pictures. This is a legitimate.
That's not even that.
Okay.
So those are scary. My dog and my roommate's dog do this thing where they sit right next to each other at the end of our yard or at the top of the stairs and just stare at you. For outside, they'll do it for half an hour.
Yeah.
It's very weird.
Yeah, not the apparition of a dead child who's playing in front of you.
But so in the middle of the night, Saturday or Sunday night, Saul, my dog, woke me up crying. And then he didn't want anything. He just was like, and then just stared at me. and like didn't want water, didn't want to go out, didn't want anything, didn't want attention. And it was very creepy. And sometimes he growls for no reason.
Yeah.
So he's either seeing ghosts or is a ghost.
Or he just has a very active interior life.
Yeah.
I do think he's very imaginative. He is his mother's child. He's my child. Not a dog.
So I woke you up crying. I was like, and it was like, she's coming.
Yeah.
I feel like I would, I mean, not to get too dark, but I feel like I would shoot myself if something like that happened.
If your dog
Yeah, I'm like,
your dog
if she's not here yet, I'm not going to give her a chance.
spoke English to you to tell you that someone was coming.
Like, that would drive you actually insane,
Yeah,
right? Like,
you
I
would be full on Lovecraftian mad.
I mean,
Yeah.
that was the whole Son of Sam killer. He
Oh, yeah,
heard
that
the
is
neighbor's
John.
dog telling him to kill people.
But he was ready.
Which is the
He
funniest.
was like, yeah, okay, cool.
Oh, I mean, he clearly had a severe
That's
mental
what I mean.
illness.
Like, he was ready
but-
for it.
Yeah.
He's like,
that's
something's got to talk to me because I
Yeah.
got stuff to do.
Somebody, like, one of these dogs
did
needs
you
to give
say
me the
something?
excuse.
Did you say something? I think you said something.
Yeah, if a dog talks to you at noon and you're in a park, in a
Right.
bush, hiding in a bush at 1, you know, like, it's not so much the dog.
He was
that's
just
giving you
a ready
permission.
improviser. He was like, I heard kill when the lights come off.
the scene in Spike Lee's Son of Sam movie where the
Summer
dog,
of Sam.
Summer of Sam.
It's a
For
good
those
movie.
When
keeping
the
track
dog-
at home, that's the second time you've been dinged for that. in this
I mean,
video.
I know what it's called.
You just described it. Not.
I didn't want to say Spike Lee's Summer of Sam. It sounded too pretentious.
Yeah.
But the scene where the dog, well, I mean, there's multiple scenes when the dog is talking to him, but there's one in particular where, like, it's just like he's in his apartment, it's midday, and the dog just kind of like saunters around the corner and sits in front of him like a normal dog does. But then John Turturro is the voice of the dog, and he's like, "You gotta kill, David, kill!" And it's just the silliest shit in the world. If you haven't seen this, please go on YouTube and go look up this clip from Summer of Sam. It is bananas. That
It's
movie's
pretty wild.
terrible.
Since we were
Oh,
talking,
I like it.
So it's such a bad movie. It's so bad.
since we were talking about Son of Sam, I just want to mention something real quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A great episode of The Venture Brothers written by Ben Edlund, creator of The Tick, where it's a Scooby-Doo thing, but Fred is Ted Bundy. Daphne is Patty Hearst. Velma is Valerie Salinas.
She's
the Scum Manifesto.
yeah.
Oh,
Exactly.
I
Yeah.
love. There's a movie about her too. I shot Andy Warhol.
Oh, yeah. And Shaggy and Scooby are, of course, Son of Sam.
Devin, let's get that bag.
Oh, okay.
He's brought
Let's
3 movies.
Get that bag.
Get that
Do I do
bag.
it?
Oh,
Why not?
You reveal them.
We should have had it closer in pocket. So once again, maybe if you're listening for the first time, we've asked Devin to bring 3 movies.
Go downstairs and get it.
And so he's chosen 3 movies. Emma, of course, knows in advance what those movies are. Kyle and I do not know.
The third one is not physical, so I'll have to say it.
Just so
That's
everyone
fine.
knows our commitment to this thing. Devin walked in today and he had the movies in his hand, not in a bag or just fully visible. And as soon as I opened the door and saw that he had the movies,
He slammed the door in my face.
I screamed at him and I said, "How dare you, sir?" Steven and I both commanded that he put the movies in a bag.
We like a little bit of dramatic flourish
Yeah.
on the cast. So what I'd like you to do is reach in one at a time.
Okay.
And then just pull it out and give us a little bit of context of like what the movie is, what it's about, maybe when it came out or whatever. And then
Okay.
we'll discuss.
First of
Do
all,
one at a time.
is Dawn of the Dead, the original Dawn of the Dead.
Baby.
Is that the one that's black and white?
That's Night of the
that's
Living
Night
Dead.
of the
That's
Living
the first
Dead.
one. This is the second
Mall.
one.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is the mall.
This is the mall.
But it's
Okay.
zombies.
It's
zombies in a mall.
70s.
Okay,
Yeah.
so first of all, Devin,
George Romero.
very excited about this because we've blown right past canon.
Yeah.
And so it's like exciting to see something that is like
Actually
staunch
canon.
in
Firmly in the canon.
Yeah.
And we haven't done a zombie movie
We've not
yet.
done zombies. So
Should I talk about
yes, tell,
anything about the movie? Like,
Yeah,
us a
tell
little, yeah.
us why you picked it, what you think about it.
So Dawn of the Dead is one of my favorite movies. As a kid, it also scared the pants off of me. There's something we'll see if we watch it.
Okay.
I don't want to give away what scared me if we're
Yeah.
gonna
Yeah,
watch it.
yeah.
How old were you?
When the first time I saw this movie, I had to have been like 8 or 9, maybe.
Oof. Impressionable. Love
Yeah, because they were showing.
Okay, the cat has
Kyle's
spooked.
cat just terrified me.
What is the name of the cat?
Max, my cat Max,
He's a
was
little
chilling
stinker.
in the windowsill.
But I didn't know that.
Yeah.
It did look at first like there was a breeze blowing
Yeah.
the curtains, and then something had come into the apartment.
And Emma actually threw her hands up.
She clutched invisible pearls.
So I'll mention what, if we don't watch this one, I'll mention what scared me in it the most.
Okay.
But yeah, I really love this movie.
And it's the original.
Yeah, and it's George Romero, so it's social commentary.
Yeah.
So it's a comment on consumerism, essentially.
Is it early 80s?
It's 78.
78, okay.
Film number 2. Wes Craven's A Nightmare on Elm Street, baby.
Another canonical entry.
Very good choices.
Yes.
Welcome to primetime, bitch.
I'm a little worried this one will scare me of going to sleep.
This is why
That's the
I
plan.
don't want to watch this movie because sleep is one of my things.
It's important to you.
I mean, I know
Steven's
you
known
guys
for his
sleep. Yeah,
sleeping.
exactly. I know you guys sleep, and it's a cornerstone of my identity. So to me, I just think about it in my head, and I'm like, it's so cruel. Like the premise is that people can't go to sleep because sometimes that's all we have.
It's probably cheesy enough that I can handle it.
I don't think it's going to be.
It's probably fine.
Is this the one where someone like there's like a bed scene? And
There's definitely a bed scene.
Let's save it for those of us who might not know. But I think by that I mean Emma. But
No, we don't need to save anything for me. Spoil it all.
I think this is going to be an interesting one if we watch that for both of us, because I think there's like gross body stuff that she'll be fine with, but there's also scary, spooky, lingery, intrudery, which will fuck you up.
Yeah.
And so it is like you've like taken the Venn diagram, like overlapped it.
That's what I do. That's what I do.
All right, what's the third one?
So the third one is Tales from the Hood.
oh yes.
An anthology. I love a good horror anthology.
And that's like short vignettes.
Yeah, with a wraparound story. And it is an entry in black horror, which at the time was a pun intended, dead genre. So it's a movie that's very close to my heart. It came out in like 92, maybe 94.
Is
it multiple directors?
No, just one director.
Just one, okay.
Yeah.
Is that the one there's like a segment with like a creepy doll?
Yep.
Is that the one? Okay. Yeah. I couldn't remember. I thought there was another movie that I might have been conflating it with. But
Were you also young?
I mean,
when you saw it?
you will be pleased, Emma, in this case if we watch that one in terms of the doll.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like you
I'll
like
like it?
Yeah,
Because it's not scary.
because
it will fuck you up.
because
I don't like things to be scary.
The doll just does like closet door work.
We're probably not going to watch that. I feel like, let's just go and say like, that one is fun.
Well, me personally, I'm really interested in us. Like, we've been so all over the map. We have to give the people what they want. We have to sit through the tentpole stuff.
Yeah, I think we have to do Dawn of the Dead or Nightmare on Elm Street.
What would you?
Not that Tales from the Hood is not good.
Yeah.
It's
and
just not
also I would
as-
probably put it in the canon too. But it's sort of like, just like
Later
not
canon?
quite at the level of Nightmare on Elm
Does
Street
everyone
or
just want
Dawn
to
of the
vote?
Dead.
if we're not gonna watch that, I will just tell you the reason you will like it is because these are all like little black wooden dolls attacking a white supremacist.
Oh, that is fun.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we'll have a episode where we just watch that video.
Oh, that would be
Yeah.
fun.
Please, anybody who hasn't seen it, please go watch
Yeah,
Tales
watch
from the
Tales from
Hood.
the
It's
Hood immediately.
great. It's
Who directed
really
it?
fun.
Rusty Cundiff. He also did Fear of a Black Hat, which is a great. It's basically Black Spinal Tap. It's about a rap group called Niggas with Hats. NWH.
That would be a good
Do you think
mini-sode.
that is more the Black Spinal Tap, or what about CB4?
CB4.
CB4 is good, but I think Fear of a Black Hat
think
is
Fear of
more
a Black Hat.
because it also like does a bunch of different. There's a bunch of different like they break up, so one becomes like a CNC music factory type guy, and another guy becomes a PM Dawn type guy. So there's like a bunch of different things. But yeah, let's vote.
Let's vote.
I mean, I'm the
vote.
guest, so I shouldn't.
Yeah, you don't
get a
really get
vote.
a
No,
vote.
but I mean, I shouldn't tell you guys what to do on your show. But
Tell us what to do. So, also, just full disclosure, Devon, curation is your vote.
Yeah.
We've heard what you have to say. Now we must
Now our two cowards will discuss amongst themselves.
maybe let's do like show of hands for Dawn of the Dead. I vote Nightmare on Elm Street.
I think I would like to break that tie by saying Nightmare on Elm Street.
But you only get half a vote, Kyle.
Well, 1.5 is more than 1.
But I get 2 votes. I've always gotten to pick.
Emma's learned all the tricks from the children she teaches.
We were introduced to Mike Myers. We need to, and spoiler alert, Friday the 13th, we've got a live show for some reason, and we're going to be watching Friday the 13th, a Jason movie.
Yeah.
We've got to get Freddy in the mix.
You're
Gotta
right.
get Freddy in the mix.
All right, let's watch
Frederick
it.
Krueger.
Frederick Charles Krueger.
I will need to do work while we watch it.
We expect nothing
So I'll
less.
be on my laptop.
For those listening at home, even though the time passes in mere seconds between us having not seen the movie and having just watched the movie, Emma's going to do work, but she forgot her charger cord. So will the computer last for the entirety of the film?
I think so.
Oh, damn, okay.
We'll see what happens. We will update you shortly.
Bye.
Bye.
What is that cat seeing?
The cat is just looking at a blank wall. Ominous. We watched A Nightmare on Elm Street.
We did it again. We watched a movie again.
I liked that.
Freddy was
The
incepting
movie?
people left and right.
Yeah.
I did not like it.
Emma didn't like it.
Oh no.
I loved it.
You seem to be working more than normal.
You
I
were
was
pretty
working more than
intently
normal.
working.
Because I did have a lot of work to do, but also
Unlike last time.
I do not like that movie.
We've got to start. We've got to stop recording these podcasts during the workday. It's like everybody free 9 to 5, 9 to 5,
Yeah,
Monday
it's
through Friday,
crazy.
Monday through
The way
Friday.
they schedule
Yeah.
this.
I did have to punch out for this.
I'm on a break.
Yeah, your shift manager is going to be pissed.
It's Saturday.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It is Saturday once again. This is one of our daytime records. We're not at my place, right, Kyle? So he at least has better light control. He's able to create some degree of ambiance. We did draw a curtain, but otherwise it's pretty bright. So it once again helps to sort of like mitigate some of the anxiety.
Yeah.
I think just as a sort of like programming note, I think it's good that we got this under our belt.
Yeah.
Yes.
I feel like this we had to do this. We had to tackle these big kind of like, tentpole movies early on, baby.
Yeah, this is a big one.
Yeah. And it was scary.
Yeah, I was kind of...
Devon's like, sure. Yeah. Whatever you got to tell yourself.
I was thinking as we were watching the opening, so before we started watching it, Devon and I were sort of like... oh yeah, it's really not that bad, and like he's basically Bugs Bunny. And then as the movie starts, I'm like, oh, but he's not Bugs Bunny.
Yeah, not quite yet.
Yeah.
So
He's horrific.
it is pretty creepy in this one.
And the burn makeup is effective.
Very good,
At the end,
yeah.
his ear is like torn and he's real drippy.
Lots
Yeah,
of
he's real
yucky
drippy.
visuals.
Yeah. So maybe let's get into it.
Yeah, let's go through it.
Well, one other sort of like dynamic too is like we were in our usual carrot crouches. You guys were peas in a pod, a couple of pigs and shit, because you have a similar sensibility, should I say? You love movies. You've seen this movie a lot, and so it was like maybe I think Devon was a good guest because Kyle finally had somebody to support him in this endeavor. Like we have each other, but you guys had each other. It was sweet.
Thank you for noticing our dynamic.
All right, so this is 84.
Mm-hmm.
When was Halloween made?
Ooh, 78.
Okay, so like, but it feels like it's like when it's playing, it's hitting all those tropes that we talked about.
Similar
kind of
era, yeah.
Yeah.
Because to just give you an idea, I believe the first Friday the 13th was 80.
Okay,
Yeah,
so-
Friday the 13th was right after.
So those
So
three,
these are all in the pocket.
which I consider the holy trinity of like
I mean, pretty much.
Yeah,
I
those
would
are the
agree
big
with that.
ones.
scary movies.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Halloween comes out and it's like it establishes the formula, and then Friday the 13th is a direct response of that thing. It was just like, let's make a movie based on a holiday, which Friday the 13th is
Weird
really a
holiday.
holiday, but
Weird
like
choice.
let's make a calendar movie.
Yeah.
And this one was, I think, like 4 years after.
Yeah.
So it's like enough time that Wes Craven is sort of feeling those influences,
Yeah.
but it is very different.
Yeah.
It's very different.
So this movie starts like crazy out of the gate. Like
There's no buildup.
it's just immediately he's fashioning a glove. They're in a dream.
But he was still alive when he was fashioning a glove because his hands were not burnt.
Yeah.
Okay, so
This was a little bit of...
was just
what is happening? Because Tina's in that dream, though?
So
I think we cut to the dream, but it's
Yeah.
not explained.
when it becomes full screen is when...
We're in Tina's dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it starts in this weird aspect ratio.
This weird crop,
Like, it's
yeah.
mostly black, but then there's like a little window at the top. You can
And there's
see making the glove.
jaunty, youthful font to
Yeah,
show all
it's
the titles.
The font, the letters are all different
Bubbly.
sizes. And
Yeah, so we see him
Giving
making
you-
the glove.
It's giving you
Yeah.
foreshadowing.
Yeah,
It's a
it's-
child killer.
it's also unsettling you subconsciously.
Yeah. Well, he's making a knife glove.
And he's a little childlike. Like he
Right, he writes his name in his hat.
he writes his name in his hat. He's always giggling
Wearing
and
that
like
dumb sweater that no
teasing
adult would wear.
people.
Darky
He
child
dresses
sweater.
like a child dresses themselves. There's something not quite right about Freddy Krueger.
Yeah. And so he's we should say spoiler alert. We're so bad at doing this. We are very, very
Just
bad at
don't
doing
listen
this.
to our podcast.
But it is a
if you don't-
30-year-old movie that literally anybody who would be interested in this
Yeah.
has definitely seen.
Yeah.
We're the anomaly in that we haven't seen it.
Yeah.
So we see him make this glove. It's relatively atmospheric. He's in a boiler room of some sort, and then we sort of transition somewhat subtly into Tina's dream. She's blonde and helpless. She gets attacked and then wakes up, and her nightgown has slash marks in it,
And her terrible mother comes in.
and she's got
Cut your nails.
cut your nails and don't stop
Or
having those
stop
dreams.
dreaming
Yeah.
like that.
Stop dreaming like that.
When she woke up, her pillow was gone. Stop dreaming like that.
And then-
it's the greatest parental advice ever.
Yeah.
And then we know
she's
the
like, I'm
mom's
gonna go back and hump
terrible.
this terrible piece
Yeah,
of
Yeah,
shit.
we know the
dad
mom's
who's
terrible because
shorter
that's
than the
not
mom.
her dad. That's her boyfriend.
That's a boyfriend.
well,
of his
clearly
step.
a boyfriend, not a
True.
dad.
That's a
Yeah.
movie step.
Well,
Or-
fuck me, I guess.
Movie stuff.
But I love that that's a signal. Like this mom sucks.
Yeah.
She's single and dating.
Yeah. And so the next morning we were introduced to our sort of like cast of gullible bodies, the fodder that's basically going to be thrown onto the pyre and sacrificed to Freddy.
Which amazingly, Steven.
Yeah.
Because I guess it just comes later. Because I guess this is sort of true with all of them. But there's only 4.
It's only 4.
Yeah.
Like-
Yeah.
It's not a huge body
Not a
count.
huge body
Yeah.
count.
Yeah.
I guess the body counts start to come later when they have to like.
Things start escalating as they make more of these movies. Like that's something I think we talked about with Halloween, where it's like there was
Same number.
how many
Yeah.
victims in that?
It's
Maybe
like these
4?
two
Yeah.
couples idea where
Yeah.
it's like, yeah.
Yeah, most of Halloween becomes the chase. Like that's a good chunk of the first Halloween. But
Yeah, a slow motion chase.
yeah.
and so it's Nancy who is the final girl. She doesn't have sex. She's
girl.
Yeah, she's a good girl. And then her friend who
Does have sex.
Does have sex.
Tina.
Gonna get murdered.
A wild animal in the sack. And then Tina's boyfriend, the
Rod.
greaser Rod.
Very, very appropriately named.
Great name.
Because he's got that
Rod
dick that's
Lane
always
is
ready to
Oh yeah, that sick burn when he is funny but rapey towards his girlfriend, and she says, he says, "I woke up with a boner with your name on it." A sweet thing to say to your
To your
girlfriend.
GF.
Yeah. It was Valentine's Day, so.
And then she
romantic.
says, "Oh yeah, my name has 4 letters. How did you fit that on your
Your
joint?"
joint.
And then he says, "Up yours with a twisty lawnmower."
Oh yeah, that was great too.
There's so much great sort of anachronistic vocabulary early
He said,
on.
"I've been undone," and runs away.
I'm going to think about the way I treat women.
You have grievously harmed me.
But they're still in love.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They do
they're
fuck
deeply in
later.
love.
They
And when
do.
you see that scene, there's no real clue that that is her boyfriend.
He
no.
literally
No,
feels like I'm surprised that we're supposed to think Johnny Depp's a jock because he feels like
He's a prep. He's
being
dressed like a prep.
and he's
Yeah.
being totally cooked by Ron.
Well, he's the other girl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're with different boys.
Yes.
No, I get that.
Oh, okay. So he's not a cuck.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
That's
Thanks for
my
saying-
point.
Yeah, all right. Yeah. Good call. Good call.
But that's
Is this savage love? What is
like he dresses like his outfit is so like terrible, but
Yeah.
it's like that cool 80s like preps
Is it
are
cool?
jocks.
Because
think
we're supposed to think he's cool when he's got the crop top on.
that
later.
crop
It's like,
top
that
is wild.
Makes sense.
That's true. Preps are jocks in the 80s. Johnny in the Karate Kid, he was a prep,
He was a prep.
/ jock.
Okay.
Like preps are the cool kids.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
Let's call an anthropologist just to make sure. Let's really
Go to
nail this.
anthropology.
I think we're all of the age range to be anthropologists on
Of the
80s movies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
fair enough.
We also all, I think, grew up just watching as much television as we could.
Did
Yeah.
watch?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Raised by TV.
No question.
Another podcast
another
Shout out to Raised by TV.
that we could have made too.
Tries my parents did to stop me. I was
yeah.
I like this guy better.
My sister and I would sneak inside. Our basement was like finished, but we lived on a very steep hill. So there was a sliding glass door
Yeah.
into the basement. Like the half of the basement was not underground, half of it was. So we would go outside to play because we weren't allowed to watch TV when it was daytime. Bitch. So we would sneak around the house and quietly watch TV. I still haven't figured out if my mom knew we did that and just didn't care.
Yeah, she did,
Yeah,
because
she
you
totally
can't
did.
quietly watch TV.
Well,
had it
her
on
bedroom
one.
was on the 3rd floor because it was a 2-story house with the basement. So, and she had lupus, so she would sleep a lot. So there is a chance she was napping and didn't know.
If we're being honest, there's a kid has not been born who is quietly snuck into anything.
yeah,
Okay,
no,
yeah.
it's never happened.
You're right. She probably knew that we would
Probably.
sneak in
Time
and
to
watch
face
TV.
this.
But she didn't feel guilty because she told us to go out and play.
Yeah,
So
she
she
did
was
her
like,
part.
whatever,
She did her
I'm
job
fine.
done.
Yeah.
She probably
Time to
was.
nap.
She's probably proud of having clever kids. Though.
Yeah.
Like, I genuinely
They got one over on me.
I got a couple of sneakers in that.
got a couple of boxcar children.
I'll ask her about it and give you all a follow-up.
Nice.
Thank you.
I have-
Stay tuned for that next week, listeners.
I have a question
Yeah,
for
hit it.
Emma and Steven.
Mm-hmm.
How did this match up to whatever you knew about Freddy
expectations
Krueger
of the
up
movie.
till
That's a
now?
good
That's a great
question.
question.
Yeah.
We should have before,
Oh,
like
we
we did for
forgot.
Halloween, to
Yeah.
let me know
About
what
the movie
you
before
thought
we go
about
in.
it.
Because obviously you guys knew, like this is sort of
Yeah.
in the collective
Well,
unconscious.
as we were watching it, I was like, this is so funny because that is absolutely true. Like, I don't think any of us have been alive in a period of time when we weren't like aware of who he was. He's
Yeah.
sort of like omnipresent. And
As early
I
as
was
I
a
can
year old
remember.
when this movie came out.
Yeah, so there you go.
I do
So you-
remember that year.
I remember when he had a guest appearance on Nickelodeon's You Can't Do That on Television.
What?
what?
Yeah.
And
They had him on that show?
and he said, "Welcome to slime time, bitch."
I don't
And
remember
then they
any
slimed him 'cause you
specifics
can't
about
say
it, but
bitch on
there's
television.
like the set.
Yeah, welcome to slime time. Slime poured into his mouth. Wait. So that feels crazy to me.
Yeah.
That it's
Well-
like referencing something that is not for kids.
Well, it probably was around, I guess that would have been around Dream Warriors when that happened. Maybe not. Well, I guess You Can't Do That on Television was
It was 80s.
early 80s.
But those are all long running too.
Yeah.
It was, I remember watching it.
I might be
So it
wrong
must
about
have been
that.
late
It was
80s.
some kind. It may not have been You Can't Do That on Television. It was some Nickelodeon
Double Dare?
show. I remember.
Yeah.
It was Double Dare. He
was, like, in a
ran
room.
the
Yeah.
obstacle
Oh my God.
course.
Him
He was in the nose
in Legends of the Hidden
Temple.
Temple. If he was in the temple, that would be
That'd be
so
fucking
scary.
terrifying.
Yeah.
There was there was definitely a point where Freddy became more of a pop culture
Absolutely.
icon.
Yeah.
than
He was
a
showing up at
horror
the MTV
icon.
Movie Awards
Yeah.
or
Well,
whatever.
there is this sort of like interesting thing too, which this is like probably rated R, probably.
Yeah.
This one is for
Certainly.
sure.
Okay. Well, so like this is a movie though that is made for children. It's like it is for people who are ostensibly not supposed to see it in the theater.
Yeah.
Where, like,
Sure.
everybody who I ever know who saw this growing up saw it when they like were super impressionable. So like I mean, you saw it when you said 8?
Yeah, because
then-
I mean, when we were kids, I don't know what your demographic here is, but when we were kids, like they had to fill that time. Like we had UHF television, we had a lot of locally run television, and they just ran shit like this on TV. Like a little bit was cut out, but like
Yeah.
the blood thing, the blood bed was in.
In the movie.
That's
movie.
wild. That
was
that
her
on
was
television.
Tina getting slashed when her like shirt opens up and then she gets slashed?
I don't
And she's
remember
on the
that
ceiling?
as well.
That was creepy.
The ceiling
The
thing
ceiling
was
was in it.
definitely
It was
in it.
definitely in there. Yeah.
But yeah, like that's how I saw it. Like it's different now where there's so much like,
Yeah.
24-hour content in a different way.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, like they used to run movies like this all the time on regular television.
It's cheap, and you got to fill the airtime.
Because it wasn't network. That's the other thing that's different. Like all local channels are networks now.
Yeah.
And when we were kids, there were at least 2 channels that were just like channels that existed that didn't have like prime time.
Reported to no man.
Yeah. So like, I'm just gonna run Nightmare on Elm Street, I guess.
And we did have HBO growing up, so like.
God,
There
Emma
were-
again with the life of privilege.
Guys, I was really rich.
2-story house.
Really rich.
HBO.
no,
Finished basement.
3-story house, according to her, even though it's technically only a 2-story house with a basement.
There were 3 stories.
Class war.
Guess what, guys? I watched Arliss.
And related
was-
to it.
Emma was.
Wait, when did you see it?
Honestly, I don't remember. I don't think I saw it when I was a kid. I don't think I saw it until I got older and started making my way through the older horror
old stuff.
movies. My entire concept of Freddy as a kid was just as this general pop culture boogeyman. I didn't associate any of this stuff in this movie with him. It was the things like him showing up on like fucking Jay Leno or whatever.
Yeah.
That's how
He was essentially Beetlejuice at that
And
point.
kids
Yeah, he
praise
was
him.
becomes
Beetlejuice.
toothless
Yeah.
because like everybody knows who it is, and it's like. But so are the later movies scary? Then does that sort of take some of the power away from him?
I
if
think
he's,
this is the scariest that the Nightmare on Elm Street movies get.
They're sort of like Evil Dead movies where they become like splat stick.
Yeah,
Like,
They realize
almost
what
comedy.
they're better at.
Yeah.
Yeah.
trademark that too if it's not already.
I wish I made
that's
that
good.
Yeah,
up.
that's already
Oh,
a
you
thing.
didn't?
Yeah,
No, I wish I
splat stick
had.
is a
Well,
thing.
we've
Thank you
never
for-
heard it before, so we're going to give you credit.
Thank you for believing I could have made that up.
Devon is such a
This is
clever
a
cultural commentator.
easy crowd, Devin.
But I,
Tell us more.
I feel like he was also like a very popular Halloween costume to wear.
Well,
Like,
it's got a prop.
Yeah, there's a fun prop. There's a
You
hat.
get to wear a hat.
Like
Yeah.
a mask, like because people would wear the burn mask. Like it was.
They sold kits. They sold like makeup kits.
Yeah.
for it,
Yeah.
too,
Yeah.
So I definitely like that's all I knew about it,
Yeah.
and that you like sleeping was when it happened.
Well, so like watching it too, this is like for me, like, you know, like everybody has like this, maybe you guys don't because this is like very much your like domain, but everybody has those gaps in kind of their like cultural or pop cultural knowledge.
Oh, yeah,
and so
sure.
like I was probably like in my mid to late 20s before I ever saw The Godfather. And then I was like, I've seen this movie even though I haven't seen
Yeah.
it
Right.
because it's just like every scene has been extrapolated.
Well, that's such
or
a good
parodied.
example. Yeah.
And this feels that way because like weird accordion arms I've seen before, Tina getting attacked on the ceiling, and then Blood Volcano, like those are all things that I've seen clips of. And so I mean, obviously that sort of diffuses some of the tension of the movie. And I knew I thought he was a pedophile. So
I think that
Well,
comes later.
That's implied, though.
I think it's implied. They say he's a child murderer.
yeah.
But she calls him a creep, and he sticks his tongue through the phone.
Yeah. I think in later movies they make it pretty
They're like,
explicit
let's
that
up
he is
the-
actually also a pedophile,
Okay.
not just a murderer.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
did have a
the interesting thing about these movies, like especially Freddy and Jason, they've had tens of movies at this point. It becomes like a comic book where, like, over the years, different creators just add different things to the mythology,
Oh,
or expand upon things. In the case of like the pedophilia, like
Right.
it was implied in this movie, and then it becomes.
yeah.
To quote Rupert Giles, the subtext becomes text.
Yeah.
Oh.
Has this has been rebooted too?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Isn't there like one in
Jackie
the
Earl
last
Haley,
Not
baby.
successfully at all.
Oh
Yeah.
Jackie Earl
Jackie Earl Haley played Freddy.
Yeah,
I
and he
didn't
had
see
also
it.
played a child molester in
Little Children.
In Little Children. So they're like, hey,
Yeah.
Let's just
And he's
connect
like,
the dots.
thanks, guys.
typecast.
Yeah, thanks for calling me.
Let's get Rorschach for that. Shouldn't Jim Carrey have played Freddy in a remake? I mean,
It's,
that would
isn't
be
the mask
great.
basically
The
a Freddy
Mask is
movie?
basically Freddy.
well, the original comic is basically a horror
Yeah.
story.
Oh, really?
Like, there's a
It's
lot
very
more
violent.
murder.
Okay, nice. Well, so back
Yeah,
to
let's get back to
Yes,
Let's
back
say
to
the
this
story.
movie.
It's like, I mean, you know, I think everybody listening has probably seen this. But so we got 4 people. We know 3 of them are at least are going to die.
Yeah.
Tina's the first to go. Johnny Depp and Nancy come and stay over that night to kind of keep her company because she's very anxious about this dream. And then there's all these like insinuations, but like nobody ever connects the dots yet that they all had essentially like the same collective hallucination. They all had the same dream.
Tina
Yeah.
and Nancy sort of figure it out,
But then Johnny Depp tells them that's
Like later.
impossible.
Right. He's a contrarian.
And right before Tina gets murdered, Rod makes it clear that he had the same dream.
Yeah.
So Rod shows up. He and Tina go upstairs to have hilarious
Very
sex.
loudly.
Yeah.
Fuck.
There's like literally wolf howling.
it sounds like they are in pain.
Which maybe was foreshadowing.
yeah,
That's true.
So we get that great. I think before that happens, and this is another thing. I think because didn't Peter Jackson use this in that movie, The Frighteners? Where like we get that great effect where Nancy's laying in bed. She has this sort of sloped ceiling that looks like it's solid.
Wow,
and
Steven dropping a Frighteners reference. I love
I'm
it.
a Jackson head. And he pushes through pushes through the wall, and we get this sort of like full stretch silhouette. I mean, it's like there's so many super cool, super effective practical effects in this.
Yeah.
It's like they're great.
Yeah.
And then
It's really
Tina
fun.
gets got.
Yeah,
Tina
gets got.
dies, and that
I
was
think-
pretty shocking.
I think one of the best slasher kills.
It's fucking cool.
It's so
It is cool, her
looking.
being thrown around the ceiling and under the blanket.
They really get like all of the mileage out of the set that is clearly on hydraulics
Right.
that turns.
Yeah, and the best. I think the best thing they decided to do there was to put Rod's head in the shot.
Yeah.
like he's just in the lower right side of the frame the whole time.
Right.
So it just completely disorients you. It places. It makes the physics of it. You forget about the hydraulic set.
It's like if you haven't seen it, Tina's being attacked in her dream. She's kind of like writhing around in the bed, and Rod pulls the blanket back, and she's being attacked by Freddy in the dream, but she's just the only one in reality. And then she proceeds to kind of like grind and sort of writhe her way like across the floor, up the wall, and across the ceiling while
As she
she's
gets
like
cut
covered
and
in
is
blood.
bleeding everywhere.
It is
all over the ceiling.
fucked.
It's a very wild image
And it-
that is burned in my head now.
Yeah, and it doesn't look, I mean, because it is like essentially them just using like a physical set and her moving around it, there's not like camera tricks or anything like that. It just looks like what it's supposed to look like. It's totally effective.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
If you haven't seen this, perhaps you've seen the video for Lionel Richie's dancing on the ceiling.
I was just going to say that. Or maybe
it's
even-
just like that.
Yeah.
Or maybe Jamiroquai.
Yeah. Yep. Yes. Here's my got a mind melt. Here's my question.
Yeah.
Or I guess it's more of a statement. What people don't think about, especially with horror, is that like Wes Craven was a craftsman. Like,
Yeah.
he was really good.
He was really good at this.
Well, I think this is what's interesting about this too, is it's like all of these people who are like very kind of accomplished and good at what they're doing, working in this like marginalized genre
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
like not supposed to be important,
Yeah.
but is like, there's a lot of good craft
Yeah.
at work here.
I will definitely give it that.
Yeah.
I didn't like it, but I get that.
Reasonably
it's-
so.
Yeah.
I mean,
I get that
how
it's
do you
good.
feel about the lighting?
That is the point.
No, but yeah, like he did a lot of cool shit that I
Yeah.
understand is very important
Yeah.
filmmaking.
Yeah.
And one of the guys that wrote and directed it, like this was his thing.
Yeah, I'm interested in this sort of like auteur thing because like the 70s had so many people that were doing
Yeah.
it like kind of in an like legitimate prestige way. And
Like
then, like the
Scorsese
80s.
and that group, and then there's this.
Wes Craven as a like mainstream filmmaker
Uh-huh.
is interesting. Is like to me is a very interesting what if, because I think this was after Scream. He had kind of like not. He was kind of out of the game. He made New Nightmare, which is one of the later sequels to this. It's a very meta like thing, and it didn't
it's
really
a meditation on the series, basically.
Yeah,
okay.
it's just kind of a look back, and Heather Langenkamp is in it playing herself.
Oh, not playing Nancy.
Yeah, no,
it's like I vaguely remember this. It's like in the real world.
yeah,
It's
and
like the
Wes
movies
Craven
exist,
shows
and
up in it to talk about it. Anyway, the movie New Nightmare didn't do that well, and so he was kind of out of it. But then he got the opportunity to do Scream, which completely revitalized his career, and also I think recolored the way people looked at his past movies too. But from Scream, he worked with Miramax, making Scream, and then got the opportunity to make this movie called Music of the Heart.
Yeah. In Sync on the soundtrack, title track. I've never heard that song.
Is
It's
it
really good.
It's not a horror movie?
It's not a horror movie
not
at
at
all.
all.
It's a Meryl Streep movie.
Yeah. He
and
made that?
I think she won an Oscar for it. I think
wow.
he directed her to a Best Actress Oscar. that was sort of his like reward for himself for doing Scream. He's like, I'll do Scream. And it was a success. And he's like, okay, now I want to make this little.
One for me,
exactly.
Yeah.
Even though he was by this point an established master of the genre.
Well, I mean, you just like they're all creative people. Like when we talk about people in this space. So yeah, invariably there's other types of stories that they would want to tell. But to me, that's such a funny, like diametrically opposed sensibility. But
yeah, I think they all have one. Like John Carpenter did Memoirs of an Invisible Man.
Yeah, baby, which is a great movie. I love it.
I haven't seen it. Which that one, you know, has like genre elements in it. Yeah. But
Scream Factory is putting it out soon.
Ooh, shit. I don't think Scream Factory would ever put out Music of the Heart.
Shout Factory might though. Waka Waka Waka.
How are my Shout Factory and Scream Factory heads doing out there? Y'all loving this?
You better be.
I'm looking at his IMDb right now.
Yeah, what else is on that is like...
And, this is him as a writer. There's a Freddy versus Ghostbusters.
That's got to be a cartoon.
Yeah, that's like a cartoon or something.
Yeah. That sounds like when anyone is allowed to put anything on IMDb.
Yeah.
Every time...
That sounds like I put that on IMDb.
Wish fulfillment.
Why is he listed? Oh, maybe they just have to give him credit because
he created.
They took his story.
Yeah, it's probably like a fan film.
Okay,
created by credit, probably.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Oh, I think this is on YouTube. I think I watched this. It's like because Freddy's technically a ghost. And the Ghostbusters.
But he did
tell him about the Twinkie, bitch.
He did direct one of the segments of Paris Je T'aime, which I had forgotten. I think he directed the one with Elijah Wood in it.
I don't remember what that one is.
That's like, he's like a vampire or a monster or something.
Like a vampire thing.
Okay. Oh, yeah, but it's like cute.
But it's like fun.
He's sort of like, all right, so anyway, we get Tina. She grinds across the ceiling. It looks dope. We've all signed off on it. We've all co-signed it as being cool and important.
Check, good.
Rod sees it happen, but like decides to bail.
Yeah,
there's also a cool little moment when she basically headbutts him.
Yeah.
She
like swings around.
That was wild.
He's in his underwear. Yeah, it's cheesecake for everybody, basically. She's in her underwear, he's in his underwear. And then he bails out and then essentially gets blamed for the crime. Yeah. Although at this point in time,
that's probably why he bailed. He knew. Maybe not. But
he's got that.
He's a tough.
He's got a bad boy image because he wears a leather jacket. And he carries his name is Rod.
Switchblade. Yeah. His name is Rod.
He can't be trusted.
All bad signs.
Yeah. And so then I think basically Nancy's traumatized. I think then Rod. Okay, so then she has that scene at school where she's like
in English class.
Yeah, so she's like
Lynn motherfucking Shay.
Lynn motherfucking Shay
is the teacher. Who's that, guys?
Lynn Shay is a character actor. You've seen a ton of stuff. Her recent career resurgence was from the Insidious movies.
Yep. Okay,
she's
haven't seen
medium.
She's the medium. Yeah,
she's the medium in the Insidious movies.
We talked about the idea of like having essentially like a soundboard on this podcast, so we could go like bam, 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 bam.
Yeah.
I think we do need one for like whenever like a character actor rears their head in our guest or our Sherpa get really excited and name drop. Yeah. So Nancy's at school. She's obviously sleep deprived at this point in time. She falls asleep in class.
I think this is my favorite sequence in the movie.
Because I just mention this is one of the first in the Freddy series of the cool sort of like I thought I blinked, but I actually fell asleep.
Yeah.
I mean, we talk through these entire things. And so like we are essentially playing through in real time what our guess is of whether or not it's a dream or not. And it's like it's a dream. And then you guys are rightfully pointing out that it's like, that's essentially the entire conceit. To keep you on your
why
toes.
It's scary, you asshole.
It's like that scene from the cartoon Freakazoid.
Oh, yes, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Where they go to see Congo.
Right now, Devon's like, can I get booked on this podcast again? It's my favorite thing ever.
That is exactly what I'm like. I will bring 3 new movies.
They go see Congo, and Freakazoid and the police chief are watching Cosgrove. And they're trying to guess which of the monkeys are robot monkeys and which are guys in suits.
Yep.
So Cosgrove is going, all right, that guy's a guy in a suit. No, that's a robot monkey. That's what watching Nightmare on Elm Street was like with
us.
Yeah.
Well, so she blinks and then turns and hears for the first time Tina is like kind of dulcet tones calling out to her, and she turns around. Tina's there, y'all,
In a body bag.
fucking
In a
full
body bag.
transparent body bag covered in blood.
Yeah, bloody body bag.
Somebody did point out is a pretty fierce drag look. So if we have any queens listening and you're like looking for inspiration, revisit A Nightmare on Elm Street.
Lots of good stuff in here.
And then, of course,
if you are sharing needles, please watch.
Yeah. I guess it's really a Sharon Needles look.
So then Nancy does what these movies require of their protagonists, in which Emma and I will never understand, which is like, I'm going to explore the source of this
I don't get
menace.
that either.
So that's what's so great to me about Nightmare on Elm Street. It's dream logic, baby.
That's true.
Yeah.
She, even though her conscious mind thinks she's awake, there's that subconscious thing going on where she's like, okay, well, I guess I'll just follow
the
it.
thing.
Yeah.
I have problems with some of the logic in this movie.
Some of the dream logic.
Yeah. But
Soundboard.
I do think it's pretty cool that even though there's also a lot of sexist problematic stuff, this 15-year-old girl is kind of the most badass person in the movie and is like, oh, you're not going to solve this crime? I'm going to do it. I'm going to get him and bring him out.
See, she like straight up has like a guerrilla warfare guide later on, so she can booby trap her house and fuck up the
She has
boogeyman.
a plan early on.
And
happening
in this sequence. I mean, well, first of all, there's this amazing, again, a really cool practical effect where she's in the hallways of her high school and she sees Tina in the body bag,
and I made
the
a really
legs
funny
just lift, and then she gets pulled down the hallway.
When she was in the hallways of her high school, I did sing the John Mayer song, and it was very funny.
And we all laughed out of obligation.
Yes.
Well, so then this is the first time when, like, I think we really sort of see Nancy.
I'm sorry. I also laughed because I was like, Emma's in the game. Emma's doing bits.
That was one of the only times that Emma looked up from her laptop to chime in on the bits.
Well, because every time I looked at the screen, I had to look away.
Something horrifying was
It was
happening.
like, player 4 has entered the game.
Emma plugged her controller back in.
So Nancy is chased. So the school somehow, or actually goes down into the basement.
More dream logic where things that
the school is also the boiler
doesn't
room.
make sense.
And
the location, the geography.
Then chase ensues. She's kind of being like stalked by Freddy. We get some more people like stumbling to get through like a large linen curtain or something like that so they can get away from him. And she burns herself on a hot like radiator pipe to snap out of it, to essentially like resurrect herself, right?
Yeah. Which she thought of immediately.
Which is really smart.
Yeah, she is immediately smart. There's no
resourceful.
There's no point where she has to become resourceful.
The temperature of the room, does anybody think in these kinds of scenarios, hypothetical of course, that you would be the person that would survive?
Absolutely not.
Or definitely
No question.
I think Freddy would be like, oh boy, wrong room. What's going on in this dream? Yikes.
Do you guys have active dream lives?
Freddy would say, there's nothing I can do to you haven't done to yourself.
I actually...
Well, in that case, we'd all be... we're all victims of sort of emotional self-abuse. It would just be us drinking champagne. It's like, hey, Freddy! Lightly shut the door.
There is a part of me, though, that does think I would be a really good fighter and I would survive. I think just because I'm so fearful and, like, I would get so intense. This is probably very false, and I don't really want to test it. But, like, I think I would really put up a fight. Like, moments in life where I have been, like, slightly or vaguely threatened, I've usually been more resourceful than I thought I would be.
I play possum.
Like, I
got mugged once on the subway, and I just
played dead.
I looked like a perfect mark because I had like a lot of bags like strapped across me, and then I was holding like silk screens. I was coming back from the printing studio, you know how you do, but I was just big and slow and kind of cumbersome, and these guys cut the strap on one of my bags. But I was a nerd growing up. Like, I always played multiple instruments and I always took a lot of homework home. So, like, I know what all that weight feels like, and I felt it shift, and I just, like, tensed on everything and then fell into the train. Like, not the tracks, but into the train.
Like into the...
And then just started bicycle kicking. And it's New York, so, like, nobody intervenes. They just watch it happen. And I was like, no. And then the guy just gave up and walked away. So, yeah, cowards don't get... cowards survive.
I can... attest to everything. I wasn't there in that case.
Yeah.
But I can attest to everything he just said. If you're on the subway in New York, that is what you will see. There's a lot of bicycle kicking.
A guy like Steven.
Yeah. It's just sort of like dusting off his filter and go like, yeah, it's no holes. All right, we're good. But I did look around at everybody and I just went, thanks. Like it was a big like, what? Come on. But like cowardly people don't get into
that's true.
into corners.
Yeah.
Don't you feel like, because these movies work because they're narratives and certain things have to occur, but I feel like, I forget if we talked about it on air or not, but like, I feel like in the case of like Freddy, I would just go insane. Like I feel like that would drive me mad.
Instantly go
it's
crazy.
such an insidious concept because it's like
the people
can't
don't believe it, which is understandable. I wouldn't believe someone if they told me this.
No.
And like part of it, I mean, that's so, I wouldn't say totally addressed, but it's a little bit addressed by Nancy's. She gets like a silver streak in her hair at one point in a dream we don't see, which is even better.
Yes.
She says that she might be insane, and her parents clearly think that. And
I don't even know, quite frankly, why her mom believes her. It's just name recognition, basically. Like so, Nancy's
because Nancy couldn't know the name Fred Krueger.
Fair enough. So,
because that's another thing that becomes.
Well, tell us about that reveal then.
That's another thing that becomes more text in the movies as they go on, but like it's less that their parents don't believe them and more that they're just trying to cover it up.
Right.
And is the idea that is given more focus in the later movies of like that is the only way to beat Freddy is to like not believe in him.
Is to take his power away.
Stop talking about it and just...
Because it's one of the movies, maybe it's Freddy versus Jason, where the idea is that like Freddy basically has zero power at the start of the movie because he's been wiped from the
drained.
books.
Yeah.
Oh.
So no one even knows about him, believes in him.
That is the premise of Freddy versus Jason. Not this.
Yeah, also sorry, I guess.
I'm not going to watch it.
But yeah, Freddy is completely powerless and somehow gets Jason to go...
Jason is corporeal.
Dead. Yeah, but he's reanimated Jason. Jason goes and kills people in this town. They think it's Freddy, so that's getting Freddy's energy.
It's an elaborate ploy on Freddy's part, but
it's a pretty weird plan.
He seemed like Freddy seems kind of dumb in this first movie, but he is a long con guy in the rest of the movies. He is Danny Ocean in the rest of these movies.
So poor Nancy can't sleep. She's kind of like
she's taking pills not to sleep.
Yeah, she's drinking
constantly. She's like 15 years old.
These full like 15-second takes where she's just like slamming back like huge mugs of coffee
and taking caffeine pills with the coffee.
Yeah,
dangerous. Is her mom
somehow did not die from that?
Right. A cardiac event for this 16-year-old. She does at one point in time look at herself in the mirror and say, "Oh no, I look like I'm 20." So hilarious. So her mom takes her to a sleep institute. She has her sleep analyzed. She has a dream in that context. Some of her hair goes white. She pulls Freddy's hat back from the sort of dream state and then is again kind of scratched. So like
that's the wildest shit that her mom, I mean, I guess you could explain it away by her mom just being like, no, I don't want to believe that this is true.
Yeah, like
but
she must have scratched herself.
She conjures a hat out of nothing.
Thin air. Yeah.
Like at that moment, everybody's just kind of not as weirded out by that as they should be, I think.
She must have been hiding it in her butt.
Yeah, she smuggled it in.
Another butt hat.
And then
we get these all the time at the sleep institute.
Yeah.
Charles Fleischer, the doctor, is not moved by this at all.
As we see the EKG needles or whatever, like it's like, no, don't worry about that. It's just a butt hat. It's just somebody pulling a hat out of their ass.
Those just tracks stank.
So her mom does kind of like begin to sort of drink to excess and fully like
just to deal with it.
Yeah.
That's another like.
Well, that's the thing, right?
Realistic thing. Actually,
she murdered someone.
Yeah.
I would probably drink that much too.
Do we agree on what the timeline we think of the actual Freddy murder is?
It can't have been that long ago
because it was like kids in the neighborhood, so they all had. And Nancy was probably alive by that point.
But Nancy didn't know about him, so she had to be young enough.
Exactly. So I'm thinking
not remember.
I'm thinking if she's like 16 in this. Maybe I don't know.
They said someone said they were 15 at one point.
Okay, that wild. Okay, and then so like maybe they're like 4 or 5. So it's like 10 years in the past.
Yeah, 10 to 15 years in the past, I think, is probably how.
Although you would think they would remember it, since apparently on the local news there they will show a hand falling out of a body bag in Springwood.
Completely clear body bag.
When Nancy's mom confesses to Nancy that she and some other, like a ragtag group of parents and vigilantes killed Freddy, they said that like lawyers got fat and a judge got famous.
Yeah.
So there's this botched trial. He's a child murderer. He killed 20 kids in an abandoned boiler room. All right.
Yeah.
Pretty spooky stuff.
Isn't
Freddy has a headquarters.
Yeah, deep in the bowels of Springwood.
He's got a tree house, basically.
Well, so they take. I guess somebody didn't sign a search warrant or something like that. So he goes free, right? A guy killed 20 kids.
This is very much a Dick Wolf production where there's like, if I wasn't bound by all this red tape, we'd have him right now.
Those goddamn regulations.
There's just a guy who's like a prep chef or something like that. He's like stacking boxes. He's like, Freddy Krueger? Yeah, I seen it. Likes kids, right? And like stack. But so she confesses, but like, I mean, that's what's okay. I guess it's the suspension of disbelief. Whatever. We're seeing all of these things happening, and the mom isn't. But she must believe on some level because she's suppressing the guilt from the murder, and then maybe her suspicion about whether or not her daughter is telling the truth.
She didn't start hitting that bottle until she saw that hat.
Yeah, that's
That's
right.
what I'm saying. So
Okay.
And they
So-
kept a trophy, by the way. They kept Freddy's glove.
yeah,
his, like,
that's the
gloved
wildest shit.
hand.
That was really creepy. Yeah.
Well, what's crazy to me too about this is like, I mean, Freddy is like through and through a villain because it's like he was killing kids with the gloved hand before he was a boogeyman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's fucking crazy.
And then he became a ghost. And interesting that he doesn't want to avenge.
He doesn't want to kill the parents.
Yeah,
No.
he wants
Well,
to
that's how
kill
you
their
get to
kids.
them. Well, you get to them through,
which I guess
He
would
loves killing
hurt them
kids.
more. But
Yeah.
When you have
also
work
just-
you enjoy, you just keep doing it.
Yeah.
You know?
I'm
Follow
not
your-
even convinced
follow
that's
your
the
bliss.
motivation. Like, it just seems to me Freddy is just like,
he just loves killing kids.
he's just, he just loves killing kids. And he happened upon this one because his glove was in their house, which...
Well, is that the thing that, because like they describe their vigilante murder of him, it's like a group of parents. So I imagine like a gang of
Later,
like 10
later it
plus-
definitely becomes the idea that it was like
A huge
your,
mob.
Your parents, all the adults in this town were responsible. So
So then ostensibly at some point in time, he's got to kill every kid in town.
yeah,
Yeah.
Okay.
if
Cool.
he's lucky, I
Chill.
guess.
Well, so then she's got another plan. She's going to basically go in and sort of bring him back. She tries to collude with Johnny Depp, her boyfriend, to stay awake and like wake her up. Let's just talk about Blood Volcano.
Johnny Depp. That was so gross, but cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because they use that room again.
They've used that hydraulic room.
So to describe it for people who haven't seen the movie, this is another one of the more famous kills in Nightmare on Elm Street, in all of slasher movie history. Johnny Depp is in his bed. He's listening to records and watching TV.
What is he watching on TV?
Oh yeah.
I mean, what he's actually watching, who can say? But
Yeah, but he tells his mom he's watching Miss Nude America, and she's like, "Well, that." She ignores that. She's like,
how
"Oh,
can you
great."
hear what they say?
That's normal for
if
my
you're-
15-year-old.
and he's like, I don't need to, oh shit, my bed.
And then he gets
Killed.
sucked into the bed
He falls asleep
with
and
his TV.
the ultimate insult. Freddy's glove shoots out from under the bed as it is wont to do, and yanks him into the bed.
Vortex of the bed.
And into a vortex, pulls the TV in, pulls the record player in because the headphones are still attached to it, which is a great visual. And then immediately the
torrent.
A torrent of blood gushes out from this.
It's
this
like a
bed.
fire hydrant
Yeah.
of just like
And then it's another
Yeah.
cool practical effect of like the room is obviously upside down, and there's just this kind of cascade of red.
pouring upwards.
Yeah, shoots up into the ceiling and kind of pools around the light fixtures in the ceiling. It's again totally cool.
And then his mom comes in and is like, it takes her a second to figure out.
The clock.
yeah. What would you even think? Like
Yeah,
so
it's
bizarre.
Pretty realistic, but also very comedic of her looking at it going, oh God.
A real fucking Abbott and Costello reaction.
Yeah.
It was all mine. Oh, Mama. I should have known.
It's great.
I'm just gonna I'll get the next one.
Well, we blew by perhaps of all of the kind of cool like perspective shifting effects in this, and then like places where knife hands should not be, there is the camera of like of Nancy in the bath, full spread eagle, and this gloved knife hand comes up between her legs.
A little bit of Jaws there. You know?
I mean,
that is nightmare fuel.
Absolutely terrifying.
Put it on the poster. We're gonna make $1 million.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so creepy.
And then that sequence also is great because she gets yanked into the bathtub.
Yeah.
And then she's in an underwater
Then
dream.
she's just in this like huge underwater tank.
Yeah, it's a real Shape of Water kind of situation.
Yeah.
But there's also, which is it's just a great detail, the like shape of the bathtub is in the distance.
Yeah, and it's
I
so
didn't notice
small.
that.
It's like, any movie you've ever seen where somebody like falls through the ice and there's like that like small point of entry like to get back to. Oh, it's terrifying.
Yeah, absolutely terrifying.
Yeah.
How'd they film that? Because it's the 80s. So I mean, they just went into a big tank.
Yeah,
I
they're
guess
just
they
in a
must have
water
had a water
tank, I'm
tank
sure.
and then put something over the top.
I mean, it goes without saying, like, a lot of movies would be much better these days if people still used practical
Yes,
effects. They're like
absolutely.
super effective.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Johnny Depp is done. All like every paramedic and sort
For
of
some
like,
reason.
Yeah.
yeah. They're I guess, yeah. There's nothing to
They
dispose
came
of.
out
There's
with
nothing
the
to-
mattress on the stretcher.
but it's like a highly absorbent mattress.
But then-
soaked up all the awful.
This is one of my favorite parts. Nancy calls her dad, the police officer, at her dead boyfriend's house and is like, "Hi, is he dead?" And then says, "I'm going to catch Freddy Krueger. Meet me at 12:30.
Yeah.
30 minutes from
So
now.
exactly 20 minutes
Like,
is how much
okay.
time she
I
gives him.
have a plan." And then she goes about setting up Kevin McAllister like booby traps all over her house,
Just a
which has to take at
sledgehammer.
least 20 to 30 minutes. It's,
I mean, she's like filing a delicate hole inside of a light bulb and filling it with gunpowder. That at a minimum is an hour.
Yeah.
yeah.
And
But
she makes
that's okay.
two of them.
Yeah. Well, so Nancy is now trapped
Basically
in her
the
own
A-team.
house. She's trapped in her own house. She sets up all these booby traps. She goes under with the hopes that her dad will come capture. She's going to grab Freddy, bring him back into the real world, and her dad will kill him. Basically, and so she does that.
Well, she actually thinks her dad's going to arrest him.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's like, be
Oh, wow.
there when I
Arrest
come
this
out and
ghost.
cuff him.
Slap the cuffs on him. Yeah.
It's
Watch
like-
that hand, though.
It's slippery.
Yeah. How does she bring him out there? Like, what is that sequence? There were like a lot of like boiler room chases.
Yeah,
Just I don't
she
know
has
which one
to
that
hold
was.
on to him, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she goes in the boiler room. There's a long sequence of her in the boiler room.
Yeah.
And then he kind of chases after her. She jumps off a balcony in the boiler room, lands in her rose bushes.
Yeah. Then he hits all the traps in the house.
Well, that's how she gets him out, is that
Because the time was almost up. Her arm was
she's
involved.
got seconds left, and he pops out of the rose bushes. She tackles him, and he's like, "Whoa, okay, we're doing this now." And then wakes up, and you think, "Oh, she didn't get him,"
Yeah.
but then he's in her bedroom,
Right.
And then he's in the real world.
And so she sets him on fire down in the basement. And then she's able to escape because the cops who are across the street finally come and break down the fucking door.
Yeah.
And he's not in the basement anymore, burnt to a crisp. But there are fiery footsteps leading up
Which
to her
are
mother's
also very
bedroom.
cool.
Very
Practical
cool.
Very cool
effect.
practical effect.
Yeah, and also a reason never to have carpet, man. That shit will burn right up. And then she goes upstairs with her dad, and like burning Freddy is on top of the mom.
Choking her out.
Yeah.
And she smashes a chair over him, and they kind of pull him off.
No,
They
Oh, wait.
pull the sheet back.
Sheet pack.
Well,
yeah.
no. What happens? She
Oh,
smashes
the
the
dad
chair.
puts
The dad throws a blanket on
put the
top
fire
of
out.
Freddy.
Right,
to put the fire out, and then when they pull the sheet back, it's
like a
presumably
void.
her mom,
a burnt crisp.
burnt to a crisp, floating above a blue void.
And where the bed was.
Where the bed was.
And
It's
it
like a
sinks
water
into
bed
it.
that has been drained.
Yeah.
And then the mom just kind of sinks into the bed.
So this is the one thing where I was kind of like, this feels totally very
confused,
weird
yeah.
for what has happened so far. And I'm guessing like dream logic, whatever. It's
yeah. So Nancy never woke up. Is
Is
I
the
think
idea.
the way
Yeah,
is the
yeah.
idea.
Oh,
yeah. So
okay.
things are sort of
So she
So that was
confronts
all
him.
part of the dream.
Yeah, she
takes his
thinks
power.
Yeah, she thinks that in order to beat him, she has to bring him into the real world.
Yeah.
And cuff him, bring him through our criminal justice system. But she realizes in that moment that she's still in the dream. The only way she's going to beat him is by like basically telling him she's not scared of him.
Yeah.
And seems to work. He disappears into stardust.
He grants her 3 wishes. 'Cause she's like, I want my mom back. I want my friends back. I want a really cool car. Can you do that, Freddy?
And then
Sure, bitch.
Devin, you said early on that he's basically this is like Aladdin.
Yeah,
the
he's like
genie's
the
an asshole.
murderous
murderous.
Robin Williams genie.
And then there's like that kind of classic cliffhanger where it's like everything's okay. It's a bright, sunshiny day. Her mom seems a little manic and weird, but everything seems to be okay. She totally dismisses her own alcoholism and agrees she's going to sober up. And then Nancy gets in a car with her friends. They're not actually dead. Oh, but what's this? The convertible's drop top is patterned like his sweater.
Red
weird.
and green stripes.
And they start screaming.
Meaning to imply that he is the car.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So already some
Which
early
is very
clues.
Beetlejuice-like.
Yeah.
Well, it goes in that direction though eventually, right?
Yeah,
Where he can
he can become inanimate objects.
Yeah.
And
Oh my
all that
God,
stuff.
no.
Yeah. It's great.
Because he was also the hall monitor in her dream.
Yeah, that was creepy and cool.
Yeah.
That girl turning into him.
And then one of my favorite shitty practical effects of the movie, I think I read somewhere that they wanted to do it, but they didn't have time to finish it, is her mom standing on the porch in the dream waving, and they get pulled away, and there's a cut to Freddy's hand shooting out of the porthole window in the door, and he just sucks the mom up through the porthole.
Like her inflatable body.
And is clearly a JCPenney mannequin.
And they sped the film up a little bit because it's like, zoink, it just gets snatched right in. Well, we watched Nightmare on Elm Street. I'm like really excited about this because I feel like we colored in some.
We did a big one.
I feel like
Big
a
piece.
pro now. I'm an expert.
You just like drop it in
Is
conversation.
Emma about to quit the show?
We've done it. Done and dusted.
No, like it did scare me, but I think it was campy enough and we were daylight enough and I was watching computer enough that that I'm okay.
So should we do our ratings?
Yeah,
Yes.
so the way that we do these ratings, Devin, is like we do thumbs up, thumbs down of like whether or not we thought the movie was scary or we like enjoyed it essentially. So it's like, would you recommend it, yay or nay? And then we do a rating 1 to 5 of essentially scariness, but we have a different metric every time. So what would this one be like?
I think
So,
cups of coffee.
How many?
Because it comforts you by keeping you awake.
Yeah. Well, I was going to recommend that or comically large bottles of rum that her mom has.
Increasingly large.
Yeah.
Comically large.
So if you're a real beanhead, pick cups of coffee. If you like,
either of them.
if you like the spirits, bottle of rum.
Yeah.
So then that's like how much you need to kind of calm down. How scary the movie was, 1 through 5. So Will, you go first. We'll give you the.
I gotta go first.
I mean, obviously you'd recommend it.
Yeah, I would recommend it. To especially if you are like, I want to know more about American horror, modern American horror.
Yeah.
And as far as how scary it is, would I go with like my first viewing?
Yeah.
Sort of.
I mean, I like
Like,
that.
Yeah,
Sorta.
try to reach back to how you felt
Okay.
first
That
time.
is fucking 5 cups of coffee. If we're going back to when I first saw it, yeah. Even like just as a kid seeing it multiple times, like it doesn't start to lose its
potency. Right?
until you're like an adult, and
Yeah.
not even like I said, not even like, oh, that couldn't happen. It's just like, if I could sleep long enough to have a dream like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Emma, let's get your rating.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would recommend it. I get why it's a good movie. I did not personally like it.
Okay.
I would not watch it.
That's what we're asking
again.
you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like no, I didn't like it. Not like I'm glad I watched it.
Yeah.
But no, fuck that.
Yeah, so thumbs-
no.
so thumbs down.
Thumbs down.
That sounds like a thumbs up to me though.
For
Yeah, for some of you, Emma's thumbs down, maybe thumbs
Yeah.
up.
It's its job, arguably.
4 cups of coffee.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I'm gonna stay awake.
I'd say thumbs up. I enjoyed myself. I thought it was really fun. Scariness, I'm going to say 3. Because again, I think this is like when we've talked about this ad nauseum at this point, that there are like scary images in this, like, but he feels a little neutered to me because like I know of him as this sort of like weird camp character now, and not like I wish I had a time machine for so many of these movies because it would be great to see this in like 1984 and be like
It's
like an 8-year-old or 10-year-old
like,
kid. or
holy
whatever.
shit, what am I watching right now?
It's a Citizen Kane thing where there's been so many parodies and homages, and
It sort of like sands down some of its potency.
sitcoms have done like not exactly Freddy, but like Dream,
Yeah.
Monster.
But
Yeah.
I mean, some of the sort of like,
Freddy had his own TV show, Freddy's Nightmares.
Yeah, that's right.
oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was like a
I did
Tales
not
from
watch
the
it.
Dark Side. Or
Yeah,
whatever
exactly.
type
Yeah,
show.
yeah. I think I there's just so there. Again, I'm sort of like a visual learner, so so many of these
Sure.
things are like indelible to me. Though the hand between the legs, terrifying. Pretty much the glove is like a signifier is great because
Yeah.
anytime it comes into frame, it's fucking scary.
Yeah, it's really
so.
good.
And then all of these kind of practical effects are badass. So definite thumbs up, and then a 3.
Yeah, I think I'm in a similar spot. Absolutely thumbs up, no question. Whether you're approaching it from this is an essential piece of the canon, even if it were not good, you should watch it. But it's actually really good and part of the canon. So like multiple thumbs up.
Yeah.
If only there were a famous movie phrase I could use. 2 thumbs up. And then scariness rating. I'm torn because like right now in this moment, I'm like not affected at all. Yeah, I would probably say 3.
Well, I think we did it.
We did do it.
Good job. Devon, where can people find you online if you want, the tens of people who are listening
Yeah.
to this, if you want them to follow you on social media?
Honestly, I'm hard to find online because I don't have a Twitter.
Okay.
But
Good man.
I do have an Instagram, and it's all one word: The Mystery Files of Devon Coleman. You can find me just taking pictures of dumb shit, I guess.
You know about Instagram.
Yeah, you know what Instagram is.
And then this is going to come out in early July. So if people are in Austin, you want to tell them about Hellhole?
Yeah, you can come see my show I directed. It's called Hellhole. It's about a haunted mini golf. It's Saturdays at 7, July 7th through August 11th at
Kick-ass.
Cold Town Theater.
Cool.
It'll be very fun. It's actually going to be a all ages show because we have a teen cast.
Oh, badass.
And we also have 3 adults in it. So the idea is it's going to be all ages.
And it's an improvised.
It's improvised.
Yeah.
Which is the part where it's like ideally PG-13,
Hopefully
baby.
it's all
Fingers
ages.
crossed.
But it's improvised. The way I'm saying it is improvised supernatural teen drama.
Okay, guys.
Because it's gonna have what we're gonna do.
Sort of
is
CW style.
Yeah.
Okay.
Every week we're gonna have a monster of the week played by a different improviser.
Oh, I love it.
So yeah, it's you guys watch Buffy.
Yeah.
You guys watch Supernatural. You guys watch those things. You know how or you watched.
Yeah.
Some of us revisit it. But you know how it is. So
Awesome.
yeah, that's happening.
And people can get tickets at coldtowntheater.com.
Coldtowntheater.com.
And then
a lot of fun.
I think just as a reminder, we have a live show of this podcast, Friday the 13th.
July
Special
13th.
guest, 2BD.
Yeah.
2BD.
To be deed.
At 11:30 at Cold Town Theater in Austin, Texas. You can get tickets to that at coldtowntheater.com. And then we are on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and any other sort of like podcast streaming network at We Are Deaf Afraid. Bye.
That about wraps her up. Yeah. Thanks, everybody.